back to the Boys Gurus Boys Report. It's been quite a while since I posted. I've had a lot of stuff going down. I said that the last time, but it is what it is. So without further ado, because I have limited time here, I wanted to cover the main question that's on my mind, and that is who's to blame. We lost to Denver, and everybody seemed to be up in arms about it until they beat the Patriots, and then all of a sudden that loss wasn't nearly as big of a deal. However, it was a big deal, excuse me, for me. And then additionally, the Kansas City game was just an atrocity in the fact that we were basically shoddy tackling away from losing. And so when you look at every game this year, it seems like most of the problems are on the offensive side of the football. So you have guys that don't know their assignments. Romo has to take a timeout, at least one, if not two, every single game as the play clock's expiring. We've had Martellus Bennett, looks like Choice, Miles Austin running wrong routes. Offensive penalties, holding, false starts. I mean, Colombo's getting into the act. So who's to blame? Is it really Wade Phillips that's to blame for this? It just seems like the offense is where, they're the ones that turn it over. They're the ones that, have the lack of accountability per se, more so than the defense, in my opinion. So I'm thinking right now there was a reason that Phillips wanted Dan Reeves, and it wasn't necessarily a power play move. Perhaps, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it just seems to me that we need a little more maybe maturity on the offensive side of the football. Defensively, now let's let Wade Phillips off the hook here. Every single time we've needed a stop, we don't get one. We needed a stop in the Denver game. Marshall scores the touchdown to win it. We needed a stop in the Giants game. They get the field goal, even though they kick themselves in the butt with a 1st and 20. We needed a stop in the Kansas City game, 4th and 7. We give up a touchdown pass. Where's the grit? I guess I watch teams like Pittsburgh. I watch teams like Baltimore especially, and I watched a Baltimore game yesterday, and they got marched up and down the first two drives. A lot of people would have written them off. They would have said, okay, this game is just not their day. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes the team just whoops you. No, they stopped them. They fought back. They came back. They were gritty, and they were a missed field goal, a bad snap away from pulling that victory out, despite being down 2 scores early. The first 2 drives and not looking good at all. Defending them, and the offense looked just atrocious. And it was funny. They put in McGahee, didn't do anything. Then Rice came back in there, Ray Rice, and he tore it up, and they got back into it. They could have kept rotating and done business as usual like they've been doing every other game, because I happen to be watching a lot of their games, but they didn't do that. Dallas needs to do some of that, I think. If guys ain't doing their job, take them out. So that's kind of where I stand on that. I think we need a shake-up, obviously. Phillips does have a club option, but I just think deep down the problem is with Garrett and not Phillips. I feel it really strongly that he is the problem, not Phillips. They don't have any leaders or character guys or gritty Brian Dawkins, Ray Lewis kind of guys, and we need those. I mean, Brookings seems to be the one that shows the most leadership, even though this is his first year on the team. But the guy that I want and I'm going to put this in my new article. I've mentioned it before. They just lost again this week. Is Charlie Weis at Notre Dame. A lot of people will call me crazy. But if you read up on the Patriots and some of the older books chronicling their title runs, you will see that Weis is the one that basically every time he's been in charge of a coaching positional kind of guy, because he started with line and then to receivers and running backs. Every time that group was exemplary, and then he got to quarterbacks. And then at Notre Dame, he's been able to put together fantastic offenses. See, I think he's one of these guys that I think the offenses have been great. And he's used to having, double tight end offenses. He's utilized the tight end. But he likes big receivers, and that's what we like. We like the big receivers. And we have the kind of receivers and the kind of quarterback and the kind of running backs that I think he could really, really, really put this offense on another level. And if Romo gets out of line, he'll put his butt in check. And I still think that Romo gets away with way too much. He's toned it down, though. He has toned it down the Chiefs game. He really didn't do anything totally boneheaded, but he's just been kind of inconsistent with the throws. I don't know why. I don't know how, but I don't think he's a total lost cause just yet. But we'll see. To wrap up here, going into next week against Atlanta, we've had some very tough times against power running teams. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how we match up with them. Additionally, their secondary is extremely undersized, and I think guys like Austin and Roy Williams, if he can nut it up and suck it up, will be able to do some big things against them. So I look forward to seeing another big offensive outing. I just don't know if I just think it's going to be one of these close games, just like most of them have been this year, where we're going to need a stop on defense, and that offense is going to do something and beat us. That's what I keep thinking with this Atlanta game coming up. Could be wrong, but we need a change. It's like the same script every single game. Lack of focus, lack of professionalism. I just don't see it. I just think we got to blow it up. Luckily, we're not as bad as the Redskins, and hopefully we don't lose to the Raiders at home like Philly did. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to drag it out a little, any longer than it has to be. But just know this team can get its act in gear. This division is not out of our hands quite yet. So, I think we could take the Giants when we play them again up there. We're gonna have to be able to beat we're gonna have to step our game up, but we can. The Giants are gonna have a tough schedule too coming up, and I think we can catch them. I really do. So, we'll leave it at that, and we'll talk to you guys after the next game. Hopefully it's a W. I'm a little antsy on it, being that we have the home field. I'm going to call it a W, but, I'm about a 60-40 on that. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yeah.